All right, good afternoon, everyone. Bienvenue à tout le monde. How's my French? I've been working on that for the last half an hour backstage. Whew, all right, got past that one. All right, so my name is Andrea Bain, and I am honored to be the MC today for the official announcement of the merger of the Canadian Cancer Society and the Canadian Breast Cancer Foundation. All right, that deserves a round of applause, you're right. I would like to take this time to welcome friends, researchers, cancer survivors, supporters, donors, and media to the Barbara Frum Atrium here at the CBC headquarters in Toronto. Now, we have a special welcome to CCS staff, volunteers, and supporters joining us today via live stream across the country in offices nationwide. It is a pleasure to have you join us for this special occasion. Your presence in communities across Canada is part of what makes CCS so great. Let's give them a round of applause. Now, I also want to point out that we are sharing today for the first time a new logo to represent the breast cancer cause at the Canadian Cancer Society. This logo, marrying the pink ellipse and the beloved daffodil, will be used to showcase the commitment to the breast cancer community ongoing within the CCS broader support of over 100 types of cancer. I'd like to note that we are also live tweeting from this event and hope you will join us by using the hashtag #TogetherWeAreStronger, because let's be honest, we really are. On the eve of World Cancer Day, a day that aims to unite the global population to make a difference in the cancer landscape, it is so fitting that we are all here to celebrate the union of two long-standing cancer charities in Canada. We are honored to have with us today some very special guests, including the Minister of Health, the Honourable Jane Philpott, who will join us towards the end of today's event. We are also privileged to have several speakers share their unique perspectives, including a cancer survivor who will inspire us with her story, a researcher who is improving the lives of people around the world by looking for breakthroughs each and every day, and a business leader who is committed to supporting the cancer cause and building a healthier community. As the co-host of The Goods, I'm very lucky. I have the privilege of being in the living room of thousands of Canadians every day. My focus is health and wellness. What I try to do is bring stories that will make Canadians healthier and better. Now, the first time I was brushed with cancer, it was at the beginning of my television career. I'm gonna try not to cry through this. My girlfriend Marcia and I were 22 years old, working as editorial assistants. We were excited about working in television. We had so many dreams. We knew what we wanted to do. We worked hard. We partied even harder. We talked about boys, and Marcia always talked about her wanting to go to film school in NYU. One evening on one of our very late shifts, she said to me, "I'm so tired I can barely keep my eyes open." And with my naive 22-year-old self, I elbowed her and said, "Well, maybe you shouldn't party so hard." Little did I know that was the last conversation I was gonna have with my friend. Sorry. 2 weeks later, I was at her funeral, and it was very harsh, a real reality of what cancer does to people. So, it is my honor to be here today, and I'm gonna try and get through this without crying. Sorry. Whew. Okay, back on track. Okay. Whew. All right, so the cancer cause is fortunate to have many people committed to doing everything they can do to help anyone living with and affected by cancer. One of these people is Mr. Robert Laurie. Mr. Laurie is the chair of the board of the Canadian Cancer Society and has been deeply committed to the cancer communities for many years. Please help me welcome Mr. Rob Laurie.
We all have stories like that, and indeed, I've heard another one today. Ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon, and thank you for joining us to celebrate the merger of the Canadian Cancer Society and the Canadian Breast Cancer Foundation. By now, most of you have read Eric Reguly's article in yesterday's Globe and Mail, a sobering but realistic platform of where we stand. It gives the gist of the story. I'd like to give a little more color today. I joined the CCS board in 2015 without really knowing the organization. At my first meeting, and that was in September of 15, I learned CCS was running a deficit. I obviously had not done my diligence. I was shocked. I came from a background where charities didn't run deficits. Only 4 months later, that deficit had multiplied. Until the following April, I was quiet, learned and listened, and discovered our revenue at CCS had been declining for years. To continue funding our research and mission, we had been raiding the reserves of the society. Those reserves were draining quickly, and the society's future was precarious. That April, we convened an urgent day-long meeting with a group of directors and others, and the report of that meeting summarized the actions that we urgently needed to take. We needed to address our deficit and declining revenue. We needed to build a new skills-based board reflective of geography in Canada, and we needed to attract a top CEO with change management experience. 3 days later at a meeting, Paul Alofs, and I think Paul's here today, there he is. Paul Alofs, the president of the Princess Margaret Cancer Foundation, gave us another challenge. He said the Canadian Cancer Society should consolidate the sector. He said most other charities had the same problems we did. Now, I'm a merger and acquisition guy, and that was like someone yelling, "Gentlemen, start your engines." So the genesis of this amalgamation began almost a year ago. Just as our challenges were becoming clear, the need for our services and research funding was growing. Cancer diagnoses will increase by 40% by 2030 as our population in Canada grows and ages. But CCS's financial capacity to address that expanding need was weakening. The Fraser Institute's Generosity Index, a yearly publication, told us why. A reducing percentage of Canadian tax filers were giving to charity and donating less. For the last year of data, 2014, Canadians claimed $9 billion in deductions. But if their giving had stayed constant from 2006, they would have given $12.6 billion. So in 8 years, donations declined $3.6 billion. That's about $450 million a year to go around to all the charities, and that trend is continuing. It was pretty evident we could not fix our problems just by seeking donations. The money wasn't there. Also, the number of charities in Canada had grown to more than 300, all scrambling for a slice of that shrinking donations pie. As Paul Alofs had suggested, if CCS had problems, others did as well. If we could join with another cancer charity with a similar structure, we could both continue our missions with fewer people, fewer offices, and fewer resources, less expense. But we had to find that other charity. But while looking, we had to keep running our business and providing needed services to cancer patients and their supporters, and we had to continue to fund research. We started the process by remaking our board. We recruited 8 new, highly skilled, prominent directors from all across Canada, representative of the country, and all committed to leading change and empowering management. They committed to CCS despite the fact our future was uncertain. Also, 10 legacy directors continued on our board and did not flinch in the face of our challenges. Now, this is an interesting point. Charities always are seeking good volunteers and good directors. And when a charity is in trouble, a lot tend to be conservative and not commit. But in our case, we were able to attract people because we thought we had a good story for the future. Then we needed to begin our search for a CEO. And through divine intervention, we quickly found the president and CEO of CBCF, Lynn Hudson. I interviewed Lynn over lunch in June, and it was quickly apparent Lynn had the skills, the experience, and the focus to work with our new board. And it was equally apparent that CBCF should be our first amalgamation partner. Lynn and I agreed that plan at that luncheon. Sorry, Valerie, but it's preordained. Then we started the dance. CCS was negotiating and ultimately hired Lynn in August. We were introduced to the CBCF board during the summer. We had a planning meeting in September last year, an MOU in October, the early public announcement in October, as you might remember. And then we had a period to test the reaction of each charity's major donors to the idea. Approval by each board and members followed, actually in multiple succession. There was some negotiation back and forth until a couple of weeks ago, and voila, today we have the announcement. So, both charities will continue as the Canadian Cancer Society. Lynn and several of her senior colleagues from CBCF have already moved to the CCS head office. In other locales where we have offices, where we each have offices, we will consolidate. And yes, there will be staff overlap and we will reduce. But employees from each group will be evaluated fairly and transparently to ensure the new CCS retains the best people for each job. Those people whom we cut will get notice, a package, respect, and be treated fairly. Starting today, we're going to be doing things differently with other organizations in the cancer space. Lynn will be making an exciting announcement about these collaborations in a minute. Now, I want to express the societies and my thanks first to the staffs of both CCS and CBCF. To staff here today and to those of you across Canada watching on the live link, you should all be very proud. These have been tough times. Job uncertainty, very long hours, change has been and will continue to be a constant. Celebrations are few, but know there is no cancer society without you and the volunteers with whom you work. To the two boards of CCS and CBCF, current and past, your support for this amalgamation and confidence is well placed. To the three new directors from CBCF, Valerie Steele, who is here with us today, the former chair of CBCF, and now a new CCS vice chair. Gail Rudderham-Chernin from North Sydney, Nova Scotia, also a former CBCF chair, and Susan Ivanek from Kelowna, BC. Thank you and welcome. You will bring new energy and perspective. We also have to do the perfunctory thing of thanking the law firms. Two law firms guided us through these many documents and many negotiations, Macmillan in Toronto and Montreal, and Blake's in Vancouver and Toronto. Now, Lynn, I can't say enough positive things about our new CEO, Lynn Hudson. Even superlatives seem inadequate to describe your energy and enthusiasm and creativity. Central Casting sent us the right person for this role. With an engineering degree from Queen's and an MBA from the University of Miami, Lynn then accumulated broad experience in business and transforming charities. What we are doing here is achievable and long overdue, and the leadership prize already goes to Lynn Hudson. Lynn.
Thanks, Rob. That was very sweet. So thank you and welcome today, and to those who are here and those who are with us virtually on this very important day. I have had the distinct honor of leading both the Canadian Cancer Society and the Canadian Breast Cancer Foundation for the past 3 months. The two organizations are very similar. Their staunch commitment to research, their incomparable dedication to helping Canadians who are affected by cancer, and their staff and volunteers' unwavering passion for the cause. CCS has an unparalleled reputation as an authority for its expertise on cancer and great success in actively working with legislatures to bring about public policy change. As the CEO of the Canadian Breast Cancer Foundation, I saw firsthand how a cause that's loved can engage supporters and passionate and dedicated volunteers. CBCF was founded in 1986 by a small and passionate group of women who broke barriers at a time when it was still taboo to talk about breast cancer. They've grown and supported CBCF every step of this way. I had the privilege of meeting two of these most amazing women recently, both of whom are with us today, and they are incredibly excited about this next chapter for the Foundation. Neither CCS nor CBCF could exist without the deeply committed donors who bring with them a passion and spirit for the cause. The consolidation of these organizations reflects their objective to amplify the impact of their donations on vital support services, investments in life-saving cancer, research, and quite simply, the way we help people affected by cancer across Canada. Moving forward, we will engage with our donors differently. Our donors should be proud of each and every dollar they give us for the life-changing impact it has. I would like to acknowledge in advance the Honourable Jane Philpott, the Minister of Health, who will be joining us later in the program. We applaud the Minister's health leadership and support the federal government's focus on home care, mental health, and particularly palliative care. With the need for better care in Canada and the need for support growing, the Canadian Cancer Society is ready to help Canadians coast to coast touched by cancer. As I think about my vision for the future, it's clear that the demand for research and services will increase. To meet this demand, the leadership team is committed to thinking about and doing things very differently. More than ever before, we are going to look to partners, both national and community-based, to help us deliver and enhance our services. Every day, another opportunity presents itself, and I get more excited about the wide range of partnerships that we will be able to pursue. I'm going to pause because I'm just so delighted to be able to announce one of these partnerships today. I'm thrilled to let you know that a total collaborative investment of $12 million between Peter Gilgan and the Canadian Cancer Society will establish the Peter Gilgan Centre for Women's Cancer at Women's College Hospital. This is the first major initiative in Canada to transform care for women's cancers on a national scale, drawing together excellence in research, clinical care, innovation, and education, and leveraging this knowledge across the country. Women's College Hospital is an internationally recognized leader in research, diagnosis, and care of women's cancers. By scaling up important innovations in these areas, we can reach healthcare providers, institutions, and women in every part of Canada through the national reach of the Canadian Cancer Society. This unprecedented initiative is only possible because of the leadership, vision, and profound generosity of Peter Gilgan. He is demonstrating the true power of philanthropy and partnership. Peter, please stand so we can all thank you for a moment for your generosity. Before I leave you this afternoon, I must convey my huge personal thanks to both the boards of directors of CCS and CBCF. Rob shared a bit of their journey together with you, and I especially want to thank Robert Lowry, the chair of the Canadian Cancer Society Board, and Valerie Steele, the past chair of the Canadian Breast Cancer Foundation. They had the insight, vision, and conviction to bring these two organizations together. I have every confidence that we will join forces in a way that will make us better positioned to serve Canadians coast to coast, united by a shared vision of creating a world where no Canadian fears cancer. Together, we are stronger. Thank you.
Now, Lynn, I think I speak on behalf of us all here when I say we are all super excited and can't wait to see what happens with this new organization. This is very exciting news. And I also want to introduce another very special guest. Nadège Saint-Philippe is a very well-known television personality. She is a weather anchor at Group TV. I hope I said that correctly. And she is also a colon cancer survivor. Like thousands of Canadians who have their own unique cancer survival stories to share, Nadège is here to share hers. It's the survivors and the people who support these survivors that really bring to life what we are all here for today. Mesdames et Messieurs, Nadège Saint-Philippe.
Bonjour. Comme Andrea l'a dit, je m'appelle Nadège Saint-Philippe et je suis heureuse d'être ici. C'est vrai, je viens de Montréal, mais je vais m'exprimer aussi en anglais pour que vous puissiez me comprendre. So hi everybody, I'm very happy to be here. Each of us, before I start, my first language is French, so you have to excuse me if I made some mistakes. It doesn't matter, because I'm going to speak from my heart, right? Each of us heard stories of cancer survivors and their families. I will briefly share my own in a few seconds. Some of us will reach out to organizations like the Canadian Cancer Society before, during, or after the treatment, and others will decide to erase their journey because of the pain and the suffering associated with it. In my case, this health challenge allowed me to open up, to receive a gift, the gift of time. The time to be treated, the time to heal, and the time to rebuild. Here is my story. Yes, I am a weather reporter, and I'm also a fitness expert. This passion allows me to create classes during which people move, dance, and sweat. My responsibility is to help them achieve their fitness goal. I was fit. I was giving like 15 classes a week. Come on, it's not little. And I was going into schools, talking with directors, asking to give credit to students so they can stay in school during their teenage years. I was doing so much. I had a good cardio, good strength, good endurance. The truth is, I was fit, but healthy, I was not. I was going to work every day with that terrible pain inside my body. And this tumor, a stage 3 colorectal tumor. And then I said to myself, this is not happening because I just got married, I'm 36 years old, and the reason why me and my husband sat alone on the table is because earlier that year, my father-in-law passed away from cancer, and 1 year before, it was my mother-in-law. So in his side of the family, I was the third one receiving that terrible news. I said to myself, I'm going to fight this because this is not happening to me. I'm fit, right? But I understood that I had to make some change. And I wanted to create a family. I wanted to have have kids, create life. That was not possible anymore. And I could accept it. So I said to myself, I'm going to go, I'm going to receive the treatment, and we'll see. And during that moment, I said to myself, what did I do wrong? What did I miss? I went back, looking back, I said at 5 years old, I started ballet classes. After that, I became a teacher, teaching ballet. I played basketball. I don't smoke. I don't drink. What did I do wrong? That was just happening, and I have to face it. I have to be strong, but I need some company, right? So my family and everybody was there for me. During those 6 weeks, every day, 3:30, I had to receive radiation, chemotherapy, but something happened along the way. I got weak and weak, and I couldn't move on anymore. So I sat down. The reason why I couldn't go on is because during my treatment, I was not able to walk anymore and to take a shower by myself. I was very, very dependent. I lost my appetite. I was losing myself. I was losing everything around me. I felt like that. So I said to myself, and I was suffering so much. So I said to myself, I have to talk to someone, but I cannot tell my parents, my friends who are cooking for me every Friday that I want to quit. I don't want to fight anymore. I want to die. So I called one number. I called the Canadian Cancer Society, and I was able to talk with someone. This person, I don't know her. She doesn't know me. But I told her I needed to voice my pain. And after this conversation, she put me back up. I wanted to fight again. After 3 weeks, still today, I don't know her face. But I know that that day, she saved my life. I went to my bedroom, I rest, and I rebuilt my self-esteem. And the next day, I went to my treatment inside this machine. My skin burnt, and all those effects around being treated for cancer was so heavy on my shoulder. But I found somewhere in my heart and my head motivation to go through because I wanted to live. J'ai pas parlé beaucoup en français. Je m'excuse pour les gens qui sont à l'extérieur puis qui nous regardent présentement. Mais je pense que l'essentiel que vous devez retenir dans mon discours, c'est que lorsque je me sentais tout seul, j'ai été capable d'avoir du réconfort. Et ce réconfort-là, je l'ai trouvé à la Société canadienne du cancer. Il a fallu d'un téléphone pour me donner le courage de poursuivre et de me rendre plus forte. Et je le dis tout le temps, c'est vrai que nous sommes touchés, mais toutes les personnes autour de nous qui nous aiment sont touchées aussi. Alors, je ne suis pas la seule à avoir vécu cette situation-là. Il y en aura d'autres, il y en a eu d'autres. Alors, ce que vous faites pour nous est plus grand que nature. Alors, je veux vous dire merci pour ça. Lorsque j'ai téléphoné à la Société canadienne du cancer, je me suis fait une promesse. Et la promesse était que aussitôt que j'allais être capable de marcher, j'allais redonner. After that conversation, after my treatment, I make one promise to myself. I said, soon as you will walk again, you will go to the society and ask them if you can give your time to do anything. So I did some activity, fitness related, because I was starting to do my step touch back, and I create something that's called Bijou Alexandre. So I take ties from men and I convert it to a beautiful necklace for women in appreciation of love. So, la raison pour laquelle on a eu une nouvelle très importante aujourd'hui, la fusion entre la Société canadienne du cancer et celle de la Fondation du cancer du sein, et directement pour l'amélioration de l'efficacité et l'impact des programmes de support ainsi que des recherches sur le cancer de tous les cancers. Une fusion comme ça va permettre d'amplifier l'impact de 1 $. Avec 1 $, on peut faire bien des choses. Et une des troisièmes raisons, c'est pour maximiser les efforts et renforcer ces deux organisations partout au Canada et au Québec. Avant de partir, before I go, I just want to say something regarding my job and the condition that I was in. Like the weather forecast, I know that severe weather conditions don't stay forever. Systems build up, they pass by, they go away. My body condition and state of mind will experience the same process. Building up to a stage 4, this tumor stayed in my body for months. And fortunately, the characteristic of it changed, so the tumor went away. I could anticipate the new journey. I will heal, I will be healthy again. All this because of you. Because every day, some of you are working to find a cure, a treatment, a partner who will help in our mission of saving more life. Thank you for your time, and thank you for saving mine.
Thank you so much, Nadej, for sharing your story. Now, as you saw in the video that kicked off today's event, there were many images of the CIBC Run for the Cure. As a supporter of the run myself, I'm amazed at how this event brings together fundraisers, donors, and partners led by CIBC, an amazing champion for the breast cancer cause for over 20 years. The success of the largest single-day volunteer-led event dedicated to raising funds for breast cancer research would not be possible without CIBC. We are honored to have with us today the executive sponsor of the CIBC Run for the Cure, Ms. Christina Kramer. Christina is the EVP at CIBC. She is also made the supporting of CBCF and CCS. Please join me in welcoming Christina Kramer.
So thank you very much, Andrea, and good afternoon to everyone here. Nadej, thank you very much for sharing your story. It's the reason why we're all here. I'm honored to be here on behalf of CIBC in this momentous occasion, the amalgamation of two of our partners in the fight against cancer, the Canadian Breast Cancer Foundation and the Canadian Cancer Society. At CIBC, we're committed to supporting causes that matter to our clients, to our employees, and to our communities. And that's why we are so proud of our long-standing partnership with these two leading health charities. Our 20-year partnership with the Canadian Breast Cancer Foundation on the CIBC Run for the Cure Day is a point of pride for CIBC. This trail-blazing partnership involving communities and volunteers across Canada has been a driving force that has helped change the face of breast cancer and help remove the stigma around a disease that touches so many. Our commitment to the CIBC Run for the Cure started with a small group of employees, and for 2 decades it's grown exponentially, reflecting the bank's culture and our history of helping communities and families grow and prosper. For me, Run Day was one of the best days of the year. I'm always proud to see so many of our employees, clients, and Canadians from coast to coast come together en masse in support of friends, family, and loved ones that have been impacted by cancer. We are delighted to continue our partnership under the Canadian Cancer Society banner. We have had a long-held history with the Society. We supported the Canadian Cancer Society for over 60 years, helping them in their mission to eradicate cancer and enhance the quality of life for people living with cancer. Now, cancer is personal to me. At 3 months of age, my daughter lost her first grandparent, my father, to cancer. By grade 6, she lost her second grandparent, my mother-in-law, to cancer. Both of them left far too early. But in her short life, she has also seen the effect of great strides in the treatment and care of cancer. My older sister, her aunt, is a living example. She is a 20-year breast cancer survivor. And that really speaks to why we're here today. So while incredible strides have been made, and my sister is a living example of that, there's still so much more to be done. At CIBC, we're committed to working with our partners at the Canadian Cancer Society to continue to bring hope and support to those living with and to those that are affected by cancer. All of us today represent a strong community of people whose passion, support, will help create a world where our children, where no Canadian fears cancer. Together, we will be stronger. Thank you.
All right, thank you so much, Christina. All right, and I know we'll all be looking forward to this year's CIBC Run for the Cure, which is happening on October 1st, 2017. I have my running shoes ready, headband and everything. Okay, good stuff. All right, and now we have the distinguished honor to hear from Dr. John Bell. He is one of Canada's most prominent cancer researchers and a senior scientist with the Ottawa Hospital Research Institute. It is only through funding from generous donors that CCS is able to put Canada's best medical minds to action. Please join me in welcoming Dr. John Bell.
Well, thanks very much for that kind introduction. I thought maybe I'd just take a few minutes to tell you a little bit about myself. I got my PhD many years ago now at McMaster University, just down the QEW there from Toronto, and I occasionally come into Toronto despite the fact that I'm a Hamiltonian. I still come to Toronto occasionally. I started my career about 30 years ago as an independent researcher, and first at McGill University, then I moved to Ottawa to the Cancer Centre there. And during that 30 years, as I look back on it, I'd say that every single year, money from Canadians through the Canadian Cancer Society has made its way into my lab to support my research program. So it's been a great organization that really has helped, I think, myself and many of my colleagues across the country to try to realize their dreams. And when I started my research program, my dream was or my vision was to understand the biology of cancer, to understand how it happens, what it does inside the body. And the goal was really to come up with new treatments, curative treatments that would not have the side effects that Madame St. Philippe has had to endure. And so that vision is also to achieve a cure. I think that's what we all want. I think I speak for all of my scientific colleagues across the country that it's first and foremost in our minds every day is to learn more, to study more, And our goal is, in every case, to try to find a cure for this disease and try to end the suffering that many people have to go through. My particular research interest is in trying to find a therapeutic that would not have the side effects that chemotherapy and radiation therapy have, but something that would specifically attack cancer and leave your normal tissues alone. And where we've come to now is the development of a virus. Now, you know viruses are bad. You know the Ebola virus isn't very good and the cold virus isn't great, but there's ways to take those viruses and engineer them to make them very specific so they attack cancer cells and not normal cells. So they specifically attack the tumor and don't have all the side effects that we fear and don't want to see. So that discovery now has gone from the test tube all the way to the hospital. We're now doing clinical studies with a treatment we developed. We have 2 trials open across Canada now, and we plan to open 2 more in the next 18 months. And as you can imagine, to take a discovery from the test tube all the way through to the hospital takes a lot of expertise and a lot of know-how that I personally didn't have. And so the way we're able to achieve this is really to work together as a team. And I'm very fortunate to be part of a team of clinicians, scientists, nurses from across the country, from Victoria. I have colleagues in Victoria, Toronto, Hamilton, and Montreal, all working together to try to push this therapy forward. So we still have our own research interests, our own research programs, but we sort of check our egos at the door and say, let's also work together on something we really want to do, and let's see this through to the end and to be a successful therapy. So, you know, as I cross the country, and I have for many years talking to people, I see a great deal of passion for raising money for research. And there's, as you heard, hundreds of organizations trying to solve this problem by raising money. And that passion's amazing. But I sometimes worry that it gets too diffuse because we're all sort of going in our own direction instead of having a really good focus. And I think just like our research teams have learned that we must work together, pull on the same oar, as it were, to achieve our goals, I think that's what we're seeing today with this amalgamation between the CBCF and the Canadian Cancer Society. And I know I certainly feel very strongly that this is a great direction to move in. Not just cost saving, which I certainly appreciate as a businessman, you think that's important, and it is important, but I think it's much bigger than that because there's a chance to really raise more money, more influence, because people will see this is a way forward. This is a chance to really make a difference. Our particular virus is really quite interesting, I think, because what it does is it not only does it attack the cancer and destroy it, it awakens the patient's immune system to recognize that cancer is foreign. It really makes the patient's immune system begin to attack its cancer. The patient, in effect, is able to cure themselves. And this whole field of immunotherapy, which is really developing over the last 5 years or so around the world, is really exploding. And now is a chance to really make a big investment in research, because I think that's the way that we all want to see this problem get solved. And I think immunotherapy, as an example, is one kind of new treatment that will change the lives of people. We're already seeing, in some cases, in Toronto and around the world, patients with very advanced diseases becoming apparently disease-free, and we believe having long-term durable remissions and perhaps, we believe, cures. So I think it's a great time to really focus our efforts, focus our thinking, and I've always said this to donors, any success I have is only partly my doing it at best. It's really everybody who's making these accomplishments happen. And I think that the CBCF, CCS fusion is a great example of how we can work together to make great strides and really, hopefully, beat back this disease and develop more cures for everybody. So on behalf of all my colleagues across the country who I think agree with me, this is a great chance to really begin to focus our efforts and do even better. I'd like to say thank you to the CBCF and the CCS for having the courage and the will and the vision to have this sort of amalgamation. So thanks very much.
All right, so again, I'd like to thank Dr. John Bell. The work that you are doing is literally saving lives. Now, as I mentioned earlier in the program, we have the tremendous pleasure of having with us today the Minister of Health, the Honorable Jane Philpott. As an advocate for the health of Canadians nationwide, it is a privilege to invite to the stage the Honorable Minister to say a few words.
Thank you very much, Bonjour tout le monde, bon après-midi, merci beaucoup. C'est une grande occasion. Je suis très contente d'être ici parmi vous pour cette très bonne occasion. Merci Nadège pour votre très belle histoire, pour votre courage et pour tout ce que vous avez fait pour notre pays, pour les autres qui ont aussi souffert comme vous et maintenant vous pouvez aider les autres. J'aimerais beaucoup entendre cette histoire. Thank you everyone for being here today. I'm so happy that I had the opportunity to come by and help with this celebration and say a few words. This is fantastic news. It's a real pleasure to be able to be here. Some of you may realize, and maybe I got here a bit late, so I'm not sure what's been said already, but tomorrow is World Cancer Day. So obviously a fantastic time to be able to make an exciting announcement like this. To gather in a space here, this is the Barbara Frum atrium here, and some of you are much younger than me, so you won't remember Barbara Frum, but those of us who are a little bit older remember the amazing CBC broadcaster Barbara, who contributed so much to this country and who lost her battle to cancer in 1992, and I'm sure she'd be happy to know that today people are gathered in a place that's named after her to push on, to continue in this great challenge that we face together. I have the great privilege of being Canada's Minister of Health, to think every day about how we can help Canadians be more healthy, and I often think about what are the really big challenges we face, and we know if you look at the leading causes of death in this country, cancer is number one. And when you also realize, you look around this room at these wonderful people that are gathered here, 1 in 2 of us will develop cancer in our lifetime. So look around at the people that are around you, and you know that if it doesn't touch you, it's going to touch the person beside you. And tragically, 1 in 4 of us will die of cancer at the rate we're going. And for us women in the room, we know that the most likely cancer that we might acquire in our lifetime is breast cancer. We know the immense impact this has not only on the lives of individuals, but also on the lives of family members who sit by us, who care for us, who feel the pain deeply. This has touched my life. I'm a family doctor before I became Minister of Health, and I've sat by the sides of people year after year who have faced cancer. I've had to break the terrible news to people, which I'm sure those of you who've been in that position realize that those are some of the most profound moments in a person's life when we hear that tragic news. And I've also, like so many of you here in the room, had it touch my own family. My little sister, who's actually kind of grown up now, but both my sister and my dad are survivors of colorectal cancer. And so when your little sister tells you that she has, like Nadège, had the experience of having metastatic colorectal cancer, you just can't, well, I know I don't need to tell people in this room what that feels like. It affects us all. But one thing I've learned as a family doctor, and I learned this when I practiced for a decade in West Africa, and I learned it in all the years that I practiced medicine in the Greater Toronto area as well, is that when we recognize a threat amongst us, whether it be an infectious disease, whether it be cancer, whether it be any other challenge that affects our health, it's when we get together, when we realize that we've got to do this together, that we actually see progress. Some people call it collective efficacy. It's that power of recognizing the threat amongst us and figuring out how we can not battle just the threat that's there, but how we can work together to find the solutions. So I'm so excited that the Canadian Cancer Society and the Canadian Breast Cancer Foundation have decided to merge. It's fantastic news. Bringing these two fantastic organizations together will, of course, increase the opportunities, allow so many more funds to be able to be directed to cancer research, and Dr. Bell spoke so powerfully about the way that we're seeing increasingly researchers across the country, clinicians across the country, patients and advocacy groups across the country, realizing we've got to come together. Together we truly are stronger, and this will allow your organizations to have even more impact to demonstrate that power of partnership. In Canada and in many countries around the world, we're facing an aging population. And you know what? I always say it's good news that we are an aging population. I'm glad I'm an aging person. Age is something to be celebrated, but we want, as we age together, as we age as individuals and as a community, we want to age well. We want to be able to enjoy a long, meaningful, happy, healthy life. And by 2030, with this aging population, we know that the number of cancer cases is going to rise by 40% in this country. I also know as a health minister that it's going to increase demand for resources, for more services, more programs, and more research. So our government's very happy to be able to work with such fantastic partners to modernize our healthcare system, to make sure that it's patient-centered, that it works for you when you need it, to make sure that we're innovative and efficient. So the Government of Canada is working along with a whole range of partners, including the Canadian Cancer Society, including organizations like Stand Up to Cancer Canada, like Genome Canada, to invest in these amazing new possibilities, things like precision medicine, immunotherapy, to be able to truly understand the future. We've joined with the Canadian Breast Cancer Foundation and with Canadian Cancer Society to improve cancer control through the Canadian Partnership Against Cancer, which is providing Canadians with tools and resources to reduce their risk for cancer. And in fact, over the past decade, the Government of Canada has invested $1.3 billion to support cancer research. So it's something we can be proud of. We can be proud of the fact that the Public Health Agency of Canada is working to address risk factors for cancer. Part of my mandate is things like healthy eating, healthy living, making sure we address physical inactivity, making sure we decrease smoking rates in this country. And when we all work together and make this kind of progress, we'll be able to detect cancer at its very beginnings. We'll be able to know better ways to treat. We'll be able to know how to care for one another. Your partnership will truly help both organizations to apply the tremendous, precious resources of Canadians to be able to work toward that common goal: early diagnosis, reduce the number of deaths, and make sure all Canadians can enjoy a long, healthy, meaningful life. Félicitations, congratulations on this new beginning, and thank you for letting me join you in this celebration. Merci beaucoup.
We'd like you to stay on stage. We're not letting you go quite yet. Now, before we wrap up the formal part of this event, we're going to officially mark the merger of the Canadian Cancer Society and the Canadian Breast Cancer Foundation by tying a unity knot. This symbol captures beautifully our theme for today, which is Together We Are Stronger. Today, the Canadian Cancer Society, represented in yellow rope, and the Canadian Breast Cancer Foundation, represented in pink rope, come together to forever change the lives of those living with and affected by cancer. I also want to welcome to the stage all of our special guests, if you could join us on stage. And one very special, small, but very mighty guest. I'm going to get him to come on up and join us as well.
So, oh no, but I guess we're doing the interview over here. Have a seat, love. Okay, do you want to tell everybody what your name is?
Jackson.
And how old are you, Jackson?
5.
All right, now do you mind if I tell everybody your story? He's not quite sure, but I'm going to tell you anyway because it's a remarkable story.
Okay, so Jackson and his mom, Kelly, spent his first Christmas in the hospital. At 6 months, Jackson began 43 weeks of chemotherapy to treat rhabdomyosarcoma, a type of soft tissue cancer. Their relationship with the Canadian Cancer Society began when Kelly turned to the Wheels of Hope volunteer driver program to get her and Jackson from their home in Whitby to Sick Kids Hospital. Jackson was one of the thousands of Canadian children who fight cancer every day. And this is the best part of the story. Jackson is now cancer-free. Now that is wonderful news, but every 3 minutes, a person in Canada is diagnosed with cancer. The Canadian Cancer Society is working for a future where no Canadian has to fear cancer. Thank you, Jackson, for reminding us what the future looks like and what we're all working so hard for and what we are here to celebrate today. Jackson has agreed to hold the Unity Knot surrounded by just some of the people who are working together to make our vision for the future happen just as soon as it can. I'd like to ask Minister Philpott to join us in representing the federal government. Madame Najez Saint-Philippe, please join Jackson in representing the community of cancer survivors. Dr. John Bell, please join us by representing our cancer research community. Ms. Kramer from CIBC, who is representing our partnership with the donor community. And last, but certainly not least, President and CEO Lynn Hudson and CCS Board Chair Rob Laurie will join them for a photo on stage with our Unity Knot. Big smile. Big smiles, everybody. Oh, Jackson.
Two ladies in front, if you can just tip out a wee bit. Not quite so far. All right, that's good. Thank you.
Can't get in Jackson's light. That can't happen. He is the star today.
Hold that for a minute, and then we'll give it to TV in the background. All right, and then the fellows in the back.
That's a good smile, Jackson. Can we see some teeth? Okay, we're not getting any teeth today, folks, but he's smiling. He's smiling. That's all that counts. All right, let's give everybody on stage a warm round of applause. Now, on behalf of the Canadian Cancer Society, I want to thank you all for participating in this remarkable occasion. For more information about the incredible work that happens at CCS, visit cancer.ca. And please feel free to mingle. There's some refreshments. And everybody have a fantastic weekend. Thank you so much for joining us.